Yo, what up, beautiful people? Welcome to another incredible Turn Up Tuesday. Yes, we had to go back, bring back some old school tracks. That's fire, right? So super excited and honored to be here with each and every one of you. Just blessed for another incredible Turn Up Tuesday. It's your boy Marcus James, and we about to get back at it again. Let's go. Let's get live. Listen, I put up a quote the question yesterday because we're going to talk about dating and relationships, right? And so whether you're single, in a relationship, and or married, dating in relationships is such a big deal, and there's some dope questions that came across the table. So we're going to get right into it. But first and foremost, I do want to say this, right? Our normal disclaimer. I'm sharing my opinions, I'm sharing honesty, I'm sharing from my experience, I'm sharing for the experience of the people around me, right? So if I say something that happens to upset you or trigger you, you're welcome, right? It's an opportunity for you to reevaluate the trigger and not to be so sensitive to things that you could probably heal from. Let's get better together and turn all the way up. This is an opportunity for us to set ourselves free as we continue to progress through life, right? Every day is a blessing. Every opportunity is going to teach you a lesson and give you the blessings that it is to which you prayed for one way or another. So we are going to get into these questions right after it, y'all, because it's early on the clock and I'm so amped, right? So, again, I do not deem myself to be a relationship expert in any way, shape, or form. I've just been watching relationships since I was a very young age with older siblings, parents, a very large family, my relationships personally. So I will be referencing personal experiences and opinions and perspective, right? I do not know all, don't plan to be the give of all answers, right? I do not expect to have all the answers, and I am not right all the time. But the one thing I will tell you is that even if you disagree, we can talk about things that you disagree about. I will not argue or debate with you. I ain't got the time for it. I don't have the energy for it. If your intention is to prove me wrong, you're wasting your time, right? Because my wrong doesn't mean you're right, and your right doesn't mean I'm wrong. But if we can get better together and elevate, we might share a perspective that could create enlightening, right? So if you decide to get defensive, that is on you. And sorry, boo-boo, that's what you do, right? But when we get into these questions, I'm just going to answer them objectively and from my own experience. Why? Because that's just what I do, right? So the very first question that came up is, what's the disconnection with men providing for a significant other or family, right? And so when I believe when this question came out, it was a disconnection around the philosophy of what a provider is supposed to look like. And I built my life and my adulthood and the man that I'm becoming around the 3 P's. And this is very simple. Provide, protect, and profess, right? That is the role of a man. And this is why I'm grateful, because we are very simple beings. Women, your complication is what makes you beautiful, but also creates that elevation and the growth of humankind, right? Thank you for being the foundation of everything that we do, right? But our process as men is super simple. Provide, protect, and profess. But we're just going to talk about the first one, being able to provide. So first, let's actually, you know what? We'll talk about the role of a man to provide. It is his ability to, put a roof over your head, find the walls, right? It doesn't matter the level of it, right? To put food on the table. That is the essence of a man's ability to provide, right? To be able to create a sustainable environment where we can continue to live, survive, and be, right? Now, on the other side of this, I believe that social media has taken and run this philosophy into the ground and also become a little confused by it, right? Because there's a lot of women that are like, listen, if we're dating and you don't pay my rent, listen. So the idea of the man in your life being able to provide for you, right? Like if we live together, my ability to make sure the bills are paid and the roof is covered, that doesn't mean like the money you're earning doesn't go to anything, right? Like we still want to be able to apply that, right? Because that's two incomes make everything better. But there's a lot of women that I've personally come across, and I also applaud the women that are like, I got my own, I'm bringing this to the partnership. I'm not asking you to bring ish to the table, right? Like, let's not get on that tangent, right? Because that's a whole nother ridiculous conversation we'll do on a whole nother Turn Up Tuesday. What you bring to the table could bring its own Turn Up Tuesday. But the idea of finding a man that can provide for you, pay for trips, pay your rent, pay your car note. Listen, your man, your partner is not supposed to be your father. Like that's crazy to me. Like I won't date a dude unless he can pay my rent. Why? Can you not? Because now I have to have a completely different conversation with your inability to sustain yourself. Right? Like if you have to live off of men, that's a completely different perspective. That's not providing. That's manipulation. Because now if you ever depart from that relationship, what did he actually benefit from being connected to you besides attracting a bill into his life? Like that doesn't make any sense. So the idea of a provider, and this is it. Let's be 100. All good men are providers, right? They will provide for you. They'll make sure that you got food in your stomach, roof over your head, cool clothes on your back, gas in your car, right? Like they'll do those things, provide in that sense. All good men are providers. Not all providers are good men. Sometimes we get it so twisted because there's plenty of dudes that got a bag that will run you into the ground, but we get it so twisted because we're like, oh, but he'll send me a G just so I can go shopping. I put up a post a couple of days ago, actually last week, and it was a young lady who was complaining about her man paying for her nails to get done. He paid $100 on his credit card to get her nails done, and she's like, girl, I can't believe he would do this. He didn't have enough money on his debit card. And I was like, yo, wait a minute. This is a good man providing for you and a service that's not a necessity, but it's something that he knows you like. So he wanted to make sure he created space to bless his woman. Why? Because she's a blessing to him. But you're complaining on the fact of the method as to which he used to pay for your nails. When paying for your nails is an aspect of providing for you, it's an addition to, right? But you don't even recognize the difference between a debit card and a credit card, right? Because most credit cards you got to apply for. Like you got to have a decent credit score to be able to do something like that. Like anybody can get a debit card. Hell, they give 11-year-olds debit cards, right? That's their first bank account. Comes with a debit card. Right? So understanding the difference, but that's where society has gotten completely off track when it comes to the idea of providing. And then there's also a lot of little bootleg grown little boys that got a bag and they just throwing money at you because they can't provide actually anything else. There is no sustainable conversation. There is no enlightenment. I actually can't teach you anything. And if I'm just throwing a bag at you, hell, listen, baby, I want to ask a real question to you. Would you rather me buy you stock or just give you $1,000 or a Birkin bag? Like there's a complete different perspective, right? Hey, let's go in and invest on this property. Oh, but you'd rather have a bag to show off for your girlfriends that you don't really rock with, right? So these women are, and I'm not blaming women. I'm just making an astute observation. These are the women that are now driving the conversation of what a provider is supposed to look like. When a real provider is going to hold you down, make sure that the roof over your head is always sustainable. If it got a hole in it, I'll fix it. And if I can't fix it, I'll pay for somebody to come fix it to make sure that we are in a good space. That's the disconnect when it comes down to really assessing being able to provide. Now, there's another level of this when it comes to the family, right? You got to make sure that your family's good, right? Your offspring. But this goes back generations where we are now reconditioning men. And I applaud the men that I'm around specifically. I have some very strong brothers in my life, and I'm so grateful for them. Why? Because they're understanding their role to not only be a present father, to be a present boyfriend, fiance, and husband, but they're taking it serious. Why? Because somebody has to break the cycle as to which we grew up in, where fathers weren't necessarily as present as they could be. Now, if you had a good daddy, yo, I applaud you wholeheartedly, right? But for those of you who weren't equipped at a young age with those tools, the man that you're becoming is even more beautiful because you're doing it without the blueprint. So keep striving for your greatness and working. Right now, the woman that you're providing for, take a listening ear, because she's going to tell you ways to do what you're doing better. She's going to help evolve your mindset. She's going to point you in the right direction, because she's not only your rib return, but she's also your North Star, your navigation, right? Like your navigator is everything. You can be a pilot all day. So, when it comes down to this idea of being able to provide, she's going to tell you what she needs in order for what providing to look like. So in the humility of true leadership, a real alpha male has no issue listening to his female, because she knows she's only going to say the things that are in his best interest when he's connected to the right one, not just the one, right? So if your girl's picking a Birkin bag over stocks, or a Birkin bag over a property investment, right? Or paying off debt, reevaluate who you're connected to. And in that process, ladies, continue to let your light shine. And just remember, I know social media be putting the bundles of Britney and all these other girls on pedestals and in spotlights, but they are not winning. Solid women that know how to hold down a family, know how to hold down a household, have a job, can provide for themselves, can take care of themselves, have a good mindset, never let their heart become jaded through the things that they went through, they're winners. They may not be in the spotlight, but I'd rather not be in the spotlight and still collecting and still be in a solid space than be in the spotlight putting on a front with a mask over my real face, right? Like, it's a completely different perspective. So there's this huge disconnect, but we are a generation that's going to change things, right? So we're still a part of the generation that held on to grandparents' morals. Why? Because I got a lot of close friends, and when we talk about relationships, we're referenced back to the generation prior to a lot of the chaos and some of the things that we've grown through, to the morals of our grandparents. Now, granted, they didn't have the same accessibility to information and an abundance of social validation, like social media. Like there's people who literally base their appearance. Like I'd rather I look good on my Instagram than how I do in real life. Like I'd rather my appearance be more valuable than my character. And now we have a generation of people that are getting grounded in character. And that's the change that is so necessary, right? So rolling right into the next question is, what do you wish women understood better about you or men in general? First and foremost, that we're not mind readers. Ladies, your intuition, your intuitive capacity is far greater. It's beautiful, right? Your emotional capacity is far greater. Your unconditional love capacity is far greater. And with those things, I do not use the C word when I talk, CRAZY, when I talk about ladies. But I will say that the emotions and the roller coaster that comes with it, as beautiful as it is, can also be a little chaotic. So just a friendly reminder that men are not mind readers. We are very simple beings, and if you give us a direction, we can traditionally follow it, right? And if you're giving direction to a man that can't follow it, that might not be the man that you need in your life. Why? Because the man that is truly working to be in your life will have a fine-tuned ear to your word, to your whisper, to your guidance, to your thoughts. Just is what it is. Most of the most successful men in the world attribute their success to having a strong woman by their side. Why? Because she's the voice of reason. Like nothing trumps pillow talk, right? You can do everything you got to do in the boardroom, but there's a key element to that connection, and having a woman who has your back, because she's going to see and feel things that you may not see and feel, and her giving you that kind of guidance will be incredible. But it comes down to this connection when women are like, well, you should just know. There is no way in hell we could ever know. There is no way in hell. And that's probably the scariest place for a man to be, is in the mind of a woman. Lord Jesus. Sometimes I get thoughts and I'm like, yo, where did that, what? Like, what? And then I got to take a seat back and I go, okay, well, what else is behind this? Now let me ask a question beyond what I'm being given to what could be actually presented beyond. Like, what's the additional thought? Because sometimes what comes out, we're like, what? Like, word? Like, how we get here? Right? And so the other thing that I would love women to understand is that it's something that comes up in another question. Accountability seems to be something that women are not really a fan of. And I am not going to lie to y'all and pretend like there have been times where I've been in relationships and they'd be like, yo, you just don't take accountability. And I'm like, yo, it came up actually on this incredible podcast that I did with some friends. And we talked about just accountability with like growing up and seeing family members not held accountable, and the family would like enable people like, oh, that's just how Uncle so-and-so is, or Auntie just like that. She just got that attitude. So we grow up in this environment where we watch people not take accountability. And then we get into relationships and our partner's like, you. And you're like, well, hell, I've been in this relationship too. And when I watch you move funny, not take accountability, why would it be my responsibility to take accountability when you never will? And again, ladies, this isn't all situations and all the time, but this is just honest truth, right? And it also is planted in women at an early age too, where like they hear things, and we all know these cliches like the woman is always right. That doesn't leave space for accountability, right? That's just the God's honest truth. Like it doesn't leave space for accountability. It's actually, so there's a comment in here. It says the man must create this environment. See, that's my point right there. That's a lack of accountability in that exact statement right there. Because in a partnership, in a relationship, it is up to everyone involved, both parties, to create a safe space. And then when we go, well, it's up to the man in order for her to feel safe. Yes, the provide, protect, and profess. It is your job to provide a safe space and protect your woman beyond all means. But if it is only one person's job to create an environment, then the environment's going to be lacking. Why? Because if we remove the better half of the environment in the creation process, then it's unfit, right? That'd be like if I took oxygen out of the room and I'm like, here, just, you know what I'm saying? Just do what you were normally doing. You just can't breathe. Right? Like that's my exact point. But because we're so triggered and so quick to be defensive, we'll be like, well, if you don't do for me, then why would I do for you? There is no such thing as 50-50 in a real healthy relationship. At any point in time in any of my relationships when we were winning, it wasn't 50-50. Why? Because both halves are getting cheated. You're only getting half of what you actually deserve. But if everybody comes in 100, you're both winning. You're both winning. You're in your truth. You're locked in. You're loaded, right? Because there's going to be fluctuations at times where you can't just be 100. But if you're giving it your all and your partner's giving it their all, everybody wins. But if you're both like, hey, this has to be 50-50. Now you're trying to break it up. And now you're like, ooh, 51-49. Now I'm really losing. But if you go, hey, I'm going to show up and be the best version of myself, and I know my partner's going to give me the grace, the support, and the love that I need in order to be the best version of myself, yo, we rolling, we rocking, we are on point. Teamwork makes the dream work, peoples. But this is my point, accountability. And listen, ladies, please just don't get defensive, because I know men, our struggle with accountability comes when it triggers our ego. Let's be 100. And the beauty of a healthy relationship is that it allows a man to put his ego aside, because he's like, I don't have to be guarded from her. If anything, she's got my back and I got hers, and we know that we're in alignment. So ego doesn't have to reside, right? We don't have to edge God out of the process, because he's the foundation as to which we stand on. Sliding into that next question. What are men insecure about? Ooh, I can't take this question on, because I can't speak for all men. I cannot, I will not, I refuse. But I will tell you, a personal insecurity for myself stemmed from childhood, right? That I was never enough, and I wasn't deserving of love. But that was the story I was telling myself based on the traumas I experienced and some of the things that were given to me by hurt people, right? Like hurting people, and getting bled on by people I didn't cut at a young age caused me to feel like I had to be guarded, which then developed insecurities of people can't be loyal. I'm not going to find healthy relationships. I don't see them. Someone can't genuinely love me for who I am. Friendships don't last. So like these are all things, but they all came back to an insecurity of me not being worthy. And then when I got really grounded and I really started to lean heavily on my relationship with God, like through my troubled teens, like I wasn't a bad teenager, but I mean, everybody has their teenage like mess ups, right? And then moving into college and finding some independence when I moved away from home, far away from home, and had to learn myself more, I really got rooted in prayer. And I realized that God was like, yo, you were more than enough. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to bring you through the things that I brought you through. So you grew through what you went through. And now I need you to grow up to be the man that I created you to be. And that is what helps kind of like resolve some of my insecurities. But the beautiful thing is at the same time, some of my insecurities were also in alignment with areas of confidence, right? Like I learned how to be alone. So being single doesn't hurt me, right? Not having friends around doesn't shake me, because I know that I got me. And if I got me, then I can hold for the people in my life without, like, I don't need you to give back to me. And that was one of the most powerful things that I remember hearing in college. One of my favorite professors was just like, yo, the best people in your life are the people that you can give to without ever needing anything back from. And I was like, yo, what? So now, like, as I've learned to allow God to fill up my cup, and I keep my cup full because I stay connected to source, I can pour out, I can give out, and I don't need you to give back to me. If I have you in my life, it's because I choose you. Right? And you know how much power comes in the choice? Like, this is the game changer. Like, there's no codependency. I don't need you to breathe. Listen, I ain't never wrote one of those heartbreaking R&B songs where it's like, how do I live without you? Oh no, baby, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and I'm gonna be good. Why? Because I chose to have you in my life. And therefore, if that time comes to an end, I choose to love you, even if I gotta love you from afar, because what you taught me in that chapter is grooming me for the next. I'm not at a lack. I didn't lose anything. I actually gained, because I'm grateful for the time that we shared. So I can't touch on other insecurities for men, but I just see different things where, you never know how people have been impacted. The only thing I can say is, for the ladies out there that are listening in, the safer of a place you create for your man in partnership, the more equipped he will be to share with you areas that he needs to grow. And sometimes you're going to pick up on those areas before he can share them with you, because being vulnerable is not an easy thing. But as you guys are in partnership and you create this environment that is not so guarded and defensive. When you let your guard down, you both can thrive, because now you can have honest conversations that I can be 100 with you. It's very rare because I will say this. I have shared insecurities with partners before, and it was a reminder that I was sharing them with the wrong partners, which means they were in relationships that I didn't need to be in, because when they were thrown back in my face indirectly and sometimes directly, it was like, ooh, okay. Now, besides being triggered by that partner, it was, why have you not done the work to heal this, as opposed to still carrying a burden that's not yours? Like, why are you still carrying this insecurity? And that was the revelation that God gave me on multiple occasions. It was like, yeah, I understand that this was an insecurity when you were a teenager, but you're still carrying it on purpose. A lot of the things that are hurting us today, or leaning on our insecurities, are words or experiences and things that we continue to relive. Like, we subject ourselves to those things over and over again, and we wonder why we can't get over it. Well, baby, you can't write a new chapter if you keep rereading the old one. And so there comes a part in your development where you go, okay, I'm gonna let this go. Even if you have to go seek counseling, sometimes you can't do it on your own. I'm finding right now that there are still aspects of my healing that I can't guide myself through. Right? And with that being said, it goes, okay, well, maybe there's aspects of counseling or therapy that I get to look into, because again, when I step into my next relationship, I want to be the best version of myself. I'm going to be still a work in progress. But when that relationship puts a magnifying glass on areas that were insecurities, I want to be stronger than I was before the relationship showed up. And I want to be on the right track. So that way, because guess what happens when you partner with the right woman? She's the fuel to your vehicle, because you can have a dope ass ride all day. Yo, you could be a Lambo sitting there, 2020, blazed out, $350,000 Lamborghini. But if you ain't got no gas, where you going? So I want to be that Lambo, and when she arrives, yo, we getting that premium fuel and we out, right? Like we are taking off. So there's just work that we get to do that really grounds us in who we are. Why do many men ask a single woman why she is single? First and foremost, I'm praying for you and what you've endured. But when you entertain people that aren't actually for you, they're going to ask you questions that are out of alignment with who you are, and where you're going. But you get to take ownership of the type of people you're attracting in your life. Single moms, don't beat yourself up for being a single mom. There's plenty of men out there that will date a single mom, right? But if you are in a situation and you talk to a guy and he's like, yo, why are you single? Or I don't date single moms, then find somebody else. Right? There's plenty of men that are going to be solid and incredible stepdads. But if you keep fishing in one pond and you keep pulling out fish that are attacking you for being a single mom, it's time to find a new pond, because you're not worth less because of that. Like, don't let outsiders determine your worth. You just go, yo, I'm gonna let my light shine where somebody sees me for who I am, and we move past the incidentals. And if they're willing to take on that role, then so be it. Right? But it just comes down to a space where you go, I'm not asking questions of why not? Like, why not let these people show you their true colors and their mindset? Because I've never, and I'll just be honest with you, I've never asked somebody, like, what do you prefer or what do you want? Because if I'm not it, then so be it. Do you date black dudes? Do you do this? Do you date like former? No, like, I don't ask questions like that, because I do not care. I do not care. I'm coming to you if I find you attractive and I like your mindset and the things about you, and I'm going to present myself. And hey, if you're with it, you with it. If you're not, you're not. And there's a lot of men out there that rock just like that. But if you keep arming yourself with the men that are throwing dirt or throwing shade, then you won't even recognize the man that's standing before you, that's willing to take you as you are, where you are, and willing to grow with you, because he understands the blessing you're going to be to his life. You're not a victim. I just want to be 1,000% clear. None of us are victims. We're not victims to our circumstances. We're not victims to our experiences. I'm a victor. Everything I've been through, I lived through, I've grown through. I've had so many people tell me I'm not their type, I'm not attractive. You think I get zero blips? Like, yo, you know what you passed on? Listen, I remember when I saw that first IG quote, it was like, yo, I'm that song you passed on and later on found out it was hot. Yo, come on. We ain't victims here. You can worry about all the people that don't rock with you. Listen, I don't care about all the women that don't vibe with me. I'm looking for the one that's going to ride with me. Like it's a complete different mindset. But that only comes when you start to heal yourself, because you can ask questions that are fairly childish all day. Like, why this, why that, why this, why that? You are not a victim. Own your situation. Own your personality. Own your greatness and let your light shine. And who cares if it blinds people that get uncomfortable staring at the sun? The right person gonna rock some shades and be like, yo, you my one. Ooh, wait, ooh, y'all hear it? Your boys on the lyrics is on point tonight. Yo, listen, I gotta move to the next question before woo! Yo, we dropping bars right now. What? What's more important, love or loyalty? From my personal perspective, loyalty. Because it's even farther in between than finding someone to love you. Because people will love you the way they receive love long before they love you the way you receive love. But when you find somebody who's loyal to you, and you get to define what loyalty is for you, right? Because, I mean, Webster's dictionary of loyalty, definition of loyalty, absolutely means nothing, right? But you get to decide what that represents for you, because when you find that, everything changes, right? Like, it opens up all kinds of doors, and then you find somebody that will love you the way you receive love. Because people will tell you, yo, I love you. I can't even tell y'all how many times it's crazy how many times I've had people out of pocket be like, yo, I love you though. I'm like, you don't even know me though. Like, you don't even know my last name. If it wasn't on my IG, you literally know nothing about me that you could genuinely love. But and this is different when somebody is like, yo, I'm sending love to you. I love you for the man that you are. I watch your TurnUp Tuesdays. Yo, I appreciate that. But if somebody is in an intimate situation with me and they're like, yeah, I'm in love with you. No, you got to know me to love me. And in order to love me, you got to be around, which requires loyalty. Like there's an aspect of progress that comes with loyalty, right? Like when you show you're loyal to somebody, you find ways to be consistent, to be caring, to give grace. That's where love develops. But this is the problem, is that a lot of people lean on throwing love on the table, and I'm stingy as hell with love. Because if you're in my life and I tell you I love you, boy, you done crossed the bridge. That means we done been through some things. Because I don't say it lightly, because I mean it when I say it. I mean it when I say it. But that's because we've been loyal to each other for such a period of time and through some things. Now, there's people that can come into your life and in 3 months flip your whole world upside down. But their potency, their concentrated dose of who they are comes in such a powerful dose. It's like a tidal wave. So I can wash away the shore on small little waves and you'll see the sand kind of wear its way down. But when you see that tidal wave come through, there's people like that will come into your life and be a tidal wave. And so then that can create a new illusion. But the thing is what happens after the wave? Like, who are they after the wave? That's where their character surfaces. And in order for it to be around, it gets to be loyal, right? Like, so that's the foundation as to which I personally believe, but I lean on loyalty long before love. Because that's tangible. Like that, I'm like, yo, they're a loyal rider. But this is it too. I forgot what it is. People talk about loyalty and trust and aligning the two. And it takes time to build loyalty, just like it does trust. But I'm the type of person, like if you're building a bank with me, I treat it just like a credit score, right? Like if you get your credit score over 800 with me, yeah, you can have a mistake and it doesn't drop you to a 500 credit score, right? Like if I'm starting to learn your character, I go, oh, yo, they built up hella credit with me. Like they good. And of course they're human, right? So we always have those things that surface. So your credit score might drop to a 720. I'm like, damn, that was a little off, right? But because I'm loyal to you, because I care about you, because I chose to have you in my life, I'm like, hey, yo, this is an area that like I don't really vibe with. So now if that 720 goes to a 745, we're on the right track. But if that 720 turns into a 650, oh, okay, maybe that's an aspect of who you are that just took some time to surface. And if it keeps getting lower, then we just get to part ways. I'll love you from a distance because when you came in, you showed me who you were, but then you also showed me who you could not maintain. Yo, because people will come in hot. They'll come in hot. But what you can maintain is far greater than what you can perform. Next question. How can women make men feel safe when labeling a relationship? Ooh. Again, I think this goes back to the partnership aspect. There is no, I don't, so I remember somebody being like, do you have commitment issues? And I was like, no, I just refuse to tie myself to things that I don't know we're going to last. As a Capricorn male, and I'm not really super huge on the zodiac signs by any way, shape, or form, but consistency matters to me. Yeah, like if I'm feeling you, like my imagination runs wild, but I'm also logical enough to go, whoa, that's the imagination. Like that's the Disney movie. I'm trying to create a biopic. So I'm going to take my time and make sure that the project is done correctly, and I'm gonna really ride it out. So when it gets to that point, there's no need for feeling safe unless I don't feel safe in your presence, right? Like if I don't feel safe in your presence, then I'm not going to be around you, right? Because that's the space that I get to be in, to recharge, to gather myself, to let the cares of the world fall off my shoulders as I prepare to take the world on again and lead this relationship, this marriage, and this connection powerfully, right? Because I also know that if I lead powerfully, then you can stand by my side powerfully, because we're dope. So I don't know about labeling relationships. It's kind of like taboo. That the only thing about labels that really seem to bother me right now is that people are in a rush for labels. They're in a rush to post things on their social media because they do it for the likes, they do it for the scene, they do it for the clout, they do it for the show. But there's no real go. Like you don't really have, like you guys haven't established each other. It's just like, I'm tired of my friends being able to post their relationship goals, so I want to post it. Like, this my man. Like, nah. It comes like more has to come with it in order for us to be like, let's put a label on it. But this goes right to the question that followed right after that. Is I'm interested to know, do some men get married just so they can say they're married? And I've been watching several podcasts on this, and this is just my personal opinion. My man Randy, what up, Famo? This is my personal opinion, because as I'm starting to look at the situation, I go, you can go with the biblical aspect where it's like a man who finds a wife finds a good thing, favor be upon him, right? Your blessings come when you find your wife. But as I'm looking at the connections, and for friends that are in marriages and friends that are in long-term relationships and the long-term relationships I've been in, I'm starting to see that the benefits of marriage are very minimal for men. And so I believe that this is why, like, there's a joke, like, I refuse to ever have a woman propose to me. I think it's the most ridiculous thing, but hey, if it works for you, like if you propose to your man and you're on this live, I am not shaming you. Or if you're on this live and you intend to propose to your man, if he says yes, you're golden, right? But proposing to me would be the most ridiculous thing in the world, and I would have to reevaluate my role in our relationship, and if I let it powerfully enough to leave you in a space where you felt secure and confident in the relationship that we were building and the direction that we were going, that you didn't have to propose. Because you knew I was going down that route. You knew where we were progressing to. You knew where we were going, and that leads up to the communication and clarity and the confident manner as to which I show up in the relationship. Because then I go, damn, where did I fall short? That she thought she needed to do this, because now that's a no for me. It's a no, like, no. And then I go, where did I not come up? Where did I come up short? And there's so much opportunity in that. But I aspire to be an incredible husband. I've wanted to be married for a long time. But like I said earlier, I'm not just marrying anybody. I'm willing to take my time and find the person that's for me. Like I'm willing to take the time to find the person that's for me, because listen, God blessed me to be 70, 80, 90 years old. The patience that I had to put in now, would it be well worth it? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. So I'd rather find the right person than a person. Because people, I get asked these stupid questions all the time. Why don't you have kids? Why aren't you married yet? And I'm like, I didn't find the person to create these opportunities with yet. Could I have manufactured it with other people? Yes, but why would you take a round peg and try to fit it in a square hole? It wasn't for me. Like, it's super simple. And so the role of marriage is like, that commitment before God is such a big deal. And it takes time to get to know the person that stands before you. And I will tell you that my past relationships, they were dope. These ladies were dope. And when I say that, there's always some woman that's like, well, if they were so dope, why didn't you marry them? Because they weren't my wives. Right? Like, every relationship doesn't have to be forever. Sometimes things are brought into your life to teach you areas of yourself and areas that you get to grow. So that when you find your one, right? Like, come on, like this, I just can't stand when we get so arrogant and obtuse that it's like, yo, why didn't you do it yet? Like, whose timeline do you think I'm on? I'm not on yours. I get people all the time, yo, you ain't got no kids yet? No. Why? Because I had to do some work on me to make sure that I healed from the experiences I had as a child, so that when I have them, I have more patience, more love, and space. And for those of you who already have children and you got thrown into that, or that was your go, there are people who learn on the fly like that. But I don't have to, because I'm not in that position. So what's the point of creating that unnecessary pressure? And I don't need to. Right? Like, it's wild to me that people are so quick to project their opinion on others and not ask questions. And I'm grateful for my past relationships, because they taught me the things that I absolutely love about relationships. And they also taught me things I will never settle for in relationships. Unacceptable, non-negotiables. I'm not having it, right? And I'd rather find a partner that's in alignment with my non-negotiables. And these are the things that I need to feel loved, feel solid, to know that I'm moving powerfully and safe in this space, then just sign up with anybody. Like, yo, you're tripping. Hey, man, I'm gonna run my race. Yo, God's got me. And when it's that time, whoo, we gonna be stunting. Listen, you ain't gotta worry about me. We gonna stunt, and not on anybody else, but on the old versions of who we were. Because when I find you, I got you. We in this thing, right? Next question. Why are some men intimidated by a woman who makes more money than them? Ooh. So I love this question, and I know it makes people uncomfortable, and it'd be funny because every once in a while I'll get a dude who'll be like, oh yeah, I caught you live, bro, I can't believe you said that. Like, I think it's I don't do the alpha beta conversation, right? Like, I think that's just childish, but I think it's an area of insecurity for a man to be confronted by a woman in his life that makes more money than him, right? Because money is such an insignificant aspect to a solid relationship, that if your wife or your girl out earns you, that's a blessing, right? Because when it comes down to the 3 P's, can you provide, protect, and profess? Now, I feel some type of way, and again, I always make dudes feel uncomfortable because they're getting their feelings. When I be like, yo, if your dude's living off of you, that's not your man. You got a stepson. Like, you adopted a little boy. Congratulations. And I think it's ridiculous when men live off of their women. Now, your ability to provide. Yo, if I can, in my income, if I can provide, or I can cover a mortgage of $2,000, $2,500. If I make $400,000 a year, I'm just putting numbers out there, right? I make $400,000, or let's be more realistic, I make $75,000 a year, right? It's pretty average income. It's solid. It's really good, right? And my partner brings home $200,000 a year. I'm still gonna be like, yo, I got our rent, but if I can afford a mortgage of $2,500, and with her, we can now afford a mortgage of $4,000 because I don't need her to match or double it. But I go, hey, babe, we get this house for what I can cover. And she's like, well, if I add a little bit to it, we can get this house. I'll be like, all right, well, we get this house, but I don't need you. Like, I just want you to know that if it really comes down to it, I got this, so we can cover that. And then she's like, listen, perfect, right? Like, I want you to know that I can provide a house or a roof over your head. And if you enhance that roof, then we in the right position. We're going in the right direction because this is a partnership. This isn't tick for tat. This isn't like, if I do for you, you got to do for me. You got to match me. Because like I said, this is not 50-50. This is 100-100. I'm bringing my best to the table. I'm like, hey, baby, I got this house. But guess what? If we go, hey, our house is $2,500 a month. Instead of you putting another $1,500 on it, baby, let's put that towards some rental properties. Let's put that towards buying some things that will become investment properties. Let's put that money towards our children's college fund for future, right? Let's put that towards life insurance so that we make sure that we're covered in the long run. Like, let's put that towards stocks. Let's put it towards other things because, hey, if we're getting the house at $2,500, and granted, yeah, you make more, but we don't need that. We don't need excess. We just need to make sure that we create a space that we're in love and we're happy and we're building a happy home. Yo, everything else is additional. So the conversation around if my girl makes more is a weak-minded conversation because you're looking at it from a space of lack. Listen, I don't care if I'm driving a Chevy Tahoe and my girl's driving a freaking Bentley. Listen, I'm gonna go get me a Bentley because I'm gonna level my game up, right? But I also have a dope-ass Pace Rabbit. I have a Pace Rabbit in home that's willing to hold space for me. But if she's able to out-earn me, guess what she might be able to teach you, my guy? She might be able to school you on some financial decisions that could elevate your situation. That doesn't mean you have to stay at that $75,000 a year. You can now go, oh, okay, dope. Like, we're doing this, but now what my baby taught me, we can do that. Come on, man. Like, the conversation of lack is a weak-minded conversation from anyone. And so now we go, how can I change my situation by being appreciative of the blessings that came into my life? And if you're struggling with the idea that your wife out-owns you, you're going to be soon struggling without her. Because we always look for things to be victims to instead of a victory. Like, yo, I found a woman that's not worried about the quality of the table I bring because she was like, oh, listen, baby, I got a table. And you're like, yeah, you know what? Now I can add to it. I can bring more to it. I can cover this. I can take care of that. And I know that we have a solid foundation as to which we can grow better together, right? Like, so if you're looking at it from a space of lack, that's a weak-minded conversation that is crippling you from appreciating the blessing that you prayed for. And this is why I always say, like, yo, that broke mindset is not about finances. That broke mindset is that the lottery mindset where it goes, yo, 100. If I give a broke man $1 million, he's going to be broke very soon. Why? Because his mindset didn't evolve with the situation that he stepped into. But if you take a broke person and you evolve their mindset, they're going to show appreciation and they're going to start to do better. Why? Because when you know better, you do better. And if you want to be a victim, be a victim and ruin the blessings that you prayed for. I'm not praying for a woman that makes more money than me. I'm praying for a woman that's solid. And whatever her bank account is, phenomenal, right? Like, we are in partnership. This is collaboration. I mentioned men. We covered that. Oh, the other one was the conversation around accountability. So, who struggles more with accountability, men or women? 1,000%. I 1,000% agree that women struggle more with accountability. Because again, like we mentioned earlier, and I'm gonna give my perspective on why. And my intention isn't to be right. It's just to enlighten. Because if you actually digest what I'm sharing with you, it might go, oh wow, I've done that. But if you immediately got defensive and you're like, no, more men, you're hurting yourself. Right? Because when it comes to the conversation of do women struggle, my belief is that women struggle more with accountability, it's because you've been equipped with so many things that keep you guarded, right? Like, I know I'm at fault with this. Every one of my nieces, like, when they're in my space, yo, don't touch them, don't breathe on them, like, yo, don't, like, my intention is to protect, and you sometimes we overdo it, and now women are walking on clouds, and I go, hey, perfect, like, I want my nieces and my future children and all the women in my life to be on such an elevated status mindset wise that these little toxic boys will never be able to touch their realm, right? Like, I teach them very early, hey, you're beautiful, but if a boy tells you you're beautiful, you already know that. What else can they tell you about you, right? But the other side of it is also protecting women from not taking accountability, right? Like, I've seen my friends with daughters, and their daughters don't get in the same kind of trouble that they probably could get into for the things that they do. We kind of sugarcoat and be like, oh, well, the woman is always right. And we've heard this philosophy repeated over and happy life, happy wife. right? Like, these aren't things that I'm making up. These are known throughout society and around the world, because they equip women with the belief that you're untouchable. So therefore, when you do something wrong, it becomes such a difficult conversation, or it's been for me, and what I've seen in friends having these conversations where I'm like, yo, you probably want to have that behind closed doors, is what it is. You struggle with accepting that you may not be right all the time. Now, again, as I stated earlier, men also struggle with accountability when it comes to areas of ego. And that's a growing space, right? Like, to be vulnerable is an area of growth for men. And I'm learning it. Vulnerability sucks. Sometimes it sucks to be like, damn, I was wrong. Like, what I said was off track. And there's times where I've done Turn Up Tuesdays and I've been in conversation, because I'm not going to argue or debate with your ass. I want to make that clear, because if anyone's feeling froggy and you jump in my DMs, I'm not arguing with you. I will just leave the conversation. But if we wanted to have a real discussion, I'm open to enlightenment. And if you can enlighten me to something that I said was incorrect, I am fully, and it is not easy as a man to be like, oh yeah, you know what? I was off track. But I've learned to humble myself so much that I just want to learn. I'm eager to learn. I'm eager to grow. And that level of humility is really hard. I just did a phenomenal podcast with some dope brothers. Like, I'm telling you, it was an incredible exchange of energy and information. And I learned so much, but I was also humbled because the space that these men were coming from, I've not been to. Their fathers, they're married, some of them divorced, and as they were sharing these things, I was like, dang, that's crazy. Like, that's not what I thought it was going to be like. That's not what I expected. And to be able to take that in is a big deal. So men struggle with accountability, but this is it. If you, again, like we talked about with childhood, if throughout our relationship you struggle with accountability, I don't feel safe being accountable with you. So this is why, like we talked about earlier, this is a partnership deal. This isn't, oh, your man's got to create a safe space for you, your partners. Ladies, if we can't tell you you're wrong, and this is like, and not, let me rephrase that, because the goal isn't to make people wrong. But if your man can't have an honest conversation with you without an emotional lash out, defensiveness, guardedness, that's not a healthy, safe space for him. And what diminishes is the three things that he's designed to do: provide, protect, and profess. The first one, when he doesn't feel safe, is professing your love, letting your woman know. Why are most R&B singers men? It's not just because it's not because men have better vocals. Hell, yo, I be hearing some women that can blow, right? But the idea of professing your love is a man's trait. That's also why, like, I get uncomfortable with the idea of women hollering at me. Don't holler at me. It's not cute, right? Like, if you wanted to express interest in a man, it's easy for a woman. Listen, you can look at him a certain type of way and he can be like, if this is, and I'm not trying to give people the blueprint on how to get my attention, right? But what happens is women will come at me and be like, physical traits, or like, oh, I find you attractive, which every dude wants to hear. But yo, I want to hear that from my partner. Like, I want my woman to be like, yo, baby, like, you fine today. Yeah. Like that's different because we have a relationship, right? Like, we have partnership. We're connected. That's where the words of affirmation are the last thing on my list. But if somebody ever took the time to watch a Turn Up Tuesday and share their takeaways, or read one of my posts and go, hey, what you said like really resonated with me, and we can have an elevated conversation, because in order to get my attention, you got to mentally stimulate me. This surface level BS doesn't rock with me. Like, what? Like, oh, ooh, you fine, or heart emoji, heart emoji, heart emoji, kick rocks. Like that. I mean, there's no effort in that. And that's why, like, there's a whole nother level of approach when it comes to creating a safe space for real men. Real men want to feel safe in your environment. How you do that is acknowledgement. First step to get there is loyalty. The next way to edify it and water that seed is respect. Respect my mind. Respect me for who I am and who I'm becoming, the work that I'm doing. That's the game changer. That's the game changer. So if you really aspire for male accountability, ladies, show him what it looks like. This is the other side of it that's crazy, right? If you have to pull on your dude to be like, yo, give me your emotions, share what you're thinking, do what this and that, he doesn't feel safe with you. I have to say it again because I just want to make sure that this resonates. And I'm not saying that is your responsibility, because I like I said at the beginning, safety in a relationship, a healthy environment, is a partnership. Like, it takes both people to create this. But if you got to pull on your dude to be transparent, to be vulnerable, to share with you, because listen, I ain't never been in a relationship where I was like, this, like, when it was golden and it was kicking, I'm telling you everything. Dude, listen, the reality is, and even though I hate this aspect of it, is dudes gossip like females, right? But when you're with your partner, you want to tell her everything. Why? Because she has a listening ear. She's going to love on you, support you, course correct you. All right, listen, like, you know how powerful that is when your partner's like attentive to you? That's another level of respect you can't get nowhere else. Like, you know how that I ain't never done drugs in my life, but that is my drug. An attentive woman, like, you see me, you see what I'm working. You see, like, you can feel when I'm tired, and instead of being like, what's wrong with you? It's, hey baby, let's just chill tonight. Let's just watch a movie. Can we just be like, let's go get Cold Stone, my joint, right? Like, I don't dive into it very often because we in that lean up season right now, right? But that's another level of trust and love and power that's developed in a relationship. That's the game changer. And on the flip side, ladies, if you're not feeling safe in your relationship, this is the best thing you can do. Sit your man down, and not you. You're not doing, you're not this, you're not that, you're not this, because that's where ego gets triggered, because he's going to become defensive. But if you make I statements, it's a powerful shift in the environment. I needed a moment of quiet, and I couldn't find it when I was with you. I needed you to listen, and I didn't feel like you heard me. Right? Like, that's instead of, you never listen to me. You never hear me when I share with you. You never, like, right? Because now people are automatically defensive. And this is transparent for everybody, but ladies specifically, if you go, baby, what I really needed you to do was to just hear me out. I didn't need a solution. Game changer. Why? Because when a man's listening, he's like, problem. How can I fix it? Fix it. That's what we hear. But if that's not what you need, then you convey that. And now we're creating the safe space together. I hope that resonates. Like, I hope that makes sense. Because again, I am not a relationship guru. I've just done a lot of work on myself. And I started to realize there were areas in my past relationships of things that I could have done better. Things that I wasn't in tune with. And it's like the old G.I. Joe saying, like, knowing is half the battle. And now that I know, I go, that's where I could have handled that situation better. But when you have a partner that's riding with you, they'll be willing to course correct you, even if it's in the moment, but because you guys don't have your guards up. You have your hearts open. And that's a powerful shift that will create so much balance in these relationships and dating. And I will say this to end today's TurnUp Tuesday, is that even if you're in a relationship, keep dating each other. Even if you're married, keep dating each other, right? Because dating for these singles right now, and like, it's real. It's difficult. It's a challenge. It is what it is, right? Like, that's what it's supposed to be. But this is what I've started to learn because I started to pay more attention. If it's a challenge while you're single, you're writing a story that the grass is greener. But when you get in a relationship, that grass needs the same watering. So it's just as much of a challenge. And when you get married, that grass needs just as much watering. It's just as much of a challenge. How do I know? I started talking to my single friends. I started talking to my relationship friends. I started talking to my fiance friends. And is it fiance? I don't know. My friends that are fiancés. And I started talking to family and friends that are married. And that there's problems at every level of it. But the thing is who are you becoming through the process of it? And are you willing in the dating phase to work on your areas of opportunity? So when you're in a relationship, you can work on areas of opportunity because you're equipped to have let the insecurities and the pain of your dating or your single phase go. So now as you're dating, you're getting stronger and you're getting stronger together. So you become fiancés and then you become married, but every level has struggle. The grass isn't green on the other side. It's greener where you water it. So if we take the time to start watering the grass that we're in, game changer. And that's the space that I love to operate from. For those of you who may be interested, I am doing one-on-ones where I'm looking to experience people's story and give guidance and opinions and thoughts. And I've had a lot of people reach out and ask for it. So if you happen to tap the link in my IG page, it'll take you to my calendar where you can book a session. I would be honored to spend some time with you one-on-one to really talk about things. This is not a like speed dating situation, so I just need to make sure that I make that absolutely clear. This is for people who are really trying to discuss through breakthroughs where we can actually go into some more intimate conversation and levels and breakthroughs to the root cause of some of the struggles that people are actually having in this life. If that is something you're interested in, again, you can tap the link in my bio. It'll take you to my link tree. You can fill out the info and we can connect very soon. I absolutely love you guys. I love Turn Up Tuesday. Thank you for being present. Please share this video if you thought it resonated with you and helped you in any way, shape, or form. But now we get to go back to the throwbacks. What up, though? Hey.